movement like that says, that's it. You don't have to do any more.
So how do you program then with knowing this information? You said it was like a 15-minute thing you did to program.
Okay. Well, let me just say there are three ways to program. So there's not just one. The one I'm going to tell you is the fast. It's the miracle one. Okay. I'm going to say, well, what are the other ways of programming a habit? And I say, well, how'd you get the habit? Because you were in hypnosis for 7 years. And I say, how do you get into hypnosis? I say, well, guess what? Remember when you're at work, you have higher vibration, then you come home, the vibration calms down, alpha. And then the moment you fall asleep, you are in a vibration called theta, which is hypnosis. So putting earphones on at night with a program of what you want to be true in your life, and just you're sleeping and the program is talking to your subconscious. And it's only a short window. So you repeat this a lot, just put the programs on. And then one day you wake up and the program is already manifested. Okay. So that's hypnosis. It's called self-hypnosis. Okay. Second way, you still learn things after you were 7 years old, driving a car, playing an instrument, sports, whatever you learned then. Okay. I go, well, how'd you learn that? Because it became a habit. I say repetition, practice. That's what makes a habit after age 7. Anything you want, then you got to practice it and you can manifest it. Okay. The third way is the one we were just talking about. And that's a new form of psychology called energy psychology. Like, what does that mean? I go, maybe you've seen somebody read a book. It's called super learning. They can open up a book to a page and they can take their finger and go down the page and they read everything just as fast as I went like that. I read every word on the page. That's called super learning. I go, these techniques, energy psychology, engage super learning. I say, so what's relevant? The earphones on at night, the repetition, time consuming repetition. You got to do them both. Energy psychology, 15 minutes in a super learning state will download a behavior in 15 minutes. You walk away, it's totally different. Just boom, just as fast as that. And it sounds, oh, that's a new agey monkey. I go, no, this is real. I go, because since then, and I've been involved with it, a neuroscientist, Jeff Fannin, he was in his lab doing neuroscience stuff, brain mapping. That's what they called it. Someone in his lab who worked there went through what's the energy psychology process, the one I'm talking about, Psych-K, came back to the lab and told Jeff, you can change your beliefs in so many minutes. He says, no, you can't. I'm a neuroscientist. I know you can't do that. So they argue back and forth, but they're in the lab. So Jeff said, here, put the electrode caps, the EEG cap, put it on my head. You do that process. His whole life changed 5 minutes later. His whole life went upside down because it was on the screen now. It's not new age. It showed the brain all of a sudden became what is called whole brain function. Whole brain lit up. And he said he's only seen that on some master meditator. It's the only time you've ever seen that. And he saw it. And it was so powerful. It's recordable. That's the cool part. So it's not like, oh, that's a good idea. I say, no, here it is. The machine will show it. Matter of fact, it's so obvious that EEGs are just like squiggly lines going across like that. Audience can't read them. Neuro people do. But he started giving some lectures where he'd have somebody come up who wanted to change a belief and they put the cap on in front of the audience, but they then put it on the big screen, the electrical readout of the EEG. Then they would do this, what's called the Psych-K balance. And the audience would go, oh. It was so profoundly different that, oh my God, the whole brain pattern just changed in front of everybody's face, completely just doing the process. So I bring this up only to say, it sounds new agey, but no, there's a scientific objective measurement of this. And then basically what does it do? It engages a super learning capacity and you can download, just like a kid actually before age 7. That's when children had whole brain activity before age 7. That's how they could download stuff instantly. Just download it, okay? After age 7, the whole brain, right and left hemispheres, there's a line right down the middle of the brain. They're called two hemispheres. The left hemisphere is like sees whole pictures. The right hemisphere sees pieces, okay? Left hemisphere sees a brick wall. Right hemisphere sees the little bricks in the wall, okay? The left hemisphere is intellectual. The right hemisphere is emotional. Mm-hmm. These are complementary characters. As long as the brain is integrated, they work together. But after age 7, they separate. And then during the day, every couple of hours or so, you're in the left side. Then a few hours later, you're in the right side. I go, what's the difference? I say, sometimes I'm more intellectual in my approach. And then a little bit later, I'm more emotional in my approach. And I go, this is where the stuff hits the fan when a couple is arguing. And let's just say, okay, the man is in his left hemisphere. He's got all the words. He's got cut you up with all the words. The woman in this particular case happens to be in the right hemisphere. She's in the emotional side. She's going, she has no words, going like this. 2 hours later, she gets into her intellectual side. He's on the emotional side. He's going, oh, man, I really screwed this up. And then she comes in and goes, cuts him up. And the whole idea is when we're adults, we separate the functions, which then changes our character during the day. Mm-hmm. The energy psychology modalities are engaging, bringing them back together again, just like a kid under 7. I say, how fast does it take a kid to download something? I said, see, you heard it, he downloaded it. That's how fast it goes. I go, exactly. So energy psychology can rewrite a program you've had your whole life, and in minutes, rewrite it.
How do we understand? How do we get into energy psychology? How do we get into that, practice?
Okay, well, on my website, let's just get this over with because it's simple, brucelipton.com. I've listed under belief change modalities about 25 or 30 different versions of energy psychology. And there's a little descriptor about each one and then a website that you can connect to and get more information. So I give people an option to take a look at here's a variety of ways you can do it. I'm familiar with the one I'm familiar with because my whole life changed. I'm living heaven on earth. I publish my books. I'm living completely in the middle of crazy land. My world is, I still live happy every day.
In the middle of crazy land, you have happiness, peace, calm, and love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're creators.
Exactly.